Very good afternoon, students. So today we will start the topic nationalism in India. So nation building, particularly if we are talking about the nation and nationalism, we need to discuss what is nation building. So nation building implies, we can say, about the process of uniting the people. We can say about into a well-functioning nation. It also implies the building of, we can say, about the state power and institutions with, we can say, about emotional unity among the people and the participation of the people in the process of, we can say, about the socio-economic reconstruction or modernization and development. Modernization and development. It stands for the building, we can say, about of an egalitarian society characterized by we can say about high level of modernization and politico-socio-economic development. So with this as the backdrop, because we need to discuss the various issues like nationality, and we can say about factors of the, we need to discuss about the factors of nationality as well. If we people need to explain and discuss about the definition of nation and nationalism, we need to find out what is the distinction between a nation and a nationality. This is very much important for us in order to discuss the definition of nation and nationalism. The term, whenever we are talking about the definition of a nation, so we need to talk about what is nation and how the nation is being formed and how it is different from nationalism. This is very much important for us to know about the facts and figures. The terms state, nation, nationality and nationalism, we can say about, are interchangeably used because too much so that they are likely to be confused. But etymologically, their meaning is very much different. The term nation is derived from the Latin word, we can say about natio, which means we can say about the birth. Natio means birth or race. Hence, nation means the racial unity of people. That is why we can say about it is very much inhabiting a definite territory. Whenever we are talking about the definition of a nation, because a nation therefore is a group of people bound together. This is very much important for us to know about the group of people bound together, because by, we can say about certainties, factors like a common language, religion and history, and above all common values and traditions, and usually inhabiting the same geographical area. If we are talking about the different types of or dimensions of a nation, because we need to know about the common language, we need to know about the common people, the unity of a people, because whenever we are talking about like a common language, religion, history, and above all, we can say about common values and traditions. That is, we can say about usually inhabiting the same geographical area. This is most important for us to know about the complete picture of the nation and nationality or nationalism, because hence a nation is a, culturally homogeneous group. It is a homogeneous group because the state is a political unit. The state is a political unit defined in terms of population. Because in terms of we can say about territory, in terms of we can say about government, and we can say about in terms of sovereignty itself. Because nationalism, on the other hand, it means the feeling of belonging to a nation. It is belonging to a nation in the sense that when nationality is intensified, nationality is very much manipulated because it becomes nationalism. It is a theoretical meaning of nationalism because it evolved during the Renaissance. Because whenever we can say about it was behind the unification of Italy and Germany in the latter part of the 19th century. It was, we can say about because to know about the different types of the revolution, because it was also responsible for the French Revolution and American War of Independence. It was behind the liberalism of the Afro-Asian, we can say about countries during the latter part of the 19th and early part of the 20th century. Nationalism, when we can say about it is perverted and becomes we can say about very much important of chauvinism, which Hitler and Mussolini followed with a disastrous consequence for mankind. This was very much important to know about the complete picture of the nation and nationality and nationalism. It is very much contested. It is very much conflictual because we have different types of the segmentations in the society. We have different types of the fragmentation in the society. It is very tough job to accommodate, we can say about to such type of diversity in the society in keeping the situation of the country. That is why we are talking about that is nationality is derived from the Latin word that is natio, because meaning racial unity. Whenever we need to talk about the promotion of racial unity, it is not possible, but now it is not possible to find purity of race because everywhere man has become a mongrel. Because Bryce defined once nationality as the status of a person. Bryce is a political philosopher because he defined its nationality as the status of a person. It is the identity of a person. It is the recognition of a person who is attached to a state, where our state is very much legitimate, where we can say about our state establishing, particularly state is very much legitimate authority. Whenever we are talking about who is, because status of a person, because status of a person means they are very much attached. They are very much attachment to a state by, we can say about the tie of allegiance. This is most important for us, allegiance, because it is a spiritual sentiment, or we can say about the principle arising from a number of people using, we can say about usually of the same race. We can say about the resident on the same territory, resident of the same territory, sharing a common language. We can say about sharing a common language. We can say about same religion, because similar history and tradition, common interest with common political association itself. Because whenever we are talking about the common ideals of political unity, this was particularly, we can say about the consolidation of our political power. इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं कि nationality is the state of being part of a nation, whether by birth or naturalization, or we can say about ties to a specific nation. This is very much important for us because the nationality of a person is the place of birth. We can because the priority would be given to the birth of a person to determine the one status. Easily it is clear that we can say nationality is a spiritual sentiment. We must have every emotions, we must have every attachment, we must have every identity, we must have every recognition, because to bring about the complete transformation of the society. This is our nationalism. But all the elements of nationality, we can say about, are not indispensable to constitute a nationality. In some, if some important traits of them are present, we can say about, that is most important to know about. because that is enough to constitute a nationality. Because there is we can say about the distinction between a nation and the nationality. Nation as a body of people. It is a group of people united by a corporate sentiment of we can say about a peculiar intensity, intimacy, we can say about and dignity related to a definite home country. This is we can say about the definition and theoretical definition of a nation. But nation, we can say about is a nationality which has organized itself into a political body, independent, or we can say about designing to be independent. That is, we can say about this is our nationality or nation. Nationality क्या है ना? Whenever we are acquiring political unity and sovereign independence, we can say about it becomes a nation. Pointing out, we can say about their difference. We can say that nation is a political concept. Nation is a political concept, while nationality is a spiritual and psychological concept. Whenever we can talk about nationality possess cultural, we can say about unity, cultural unity, but it is not as politically organized as a nation. Hence, we can say that nation is state plus nationality. Those who belong to a nationality are united, we can say about by common sympathies which did not exist between them and which make them cooperate with each another. That is, we can say about more willingly than other people. But nowadays, the doctrine of one nation and one state we are talking about, because for example, Palestine is a nation and it has become a state. If one state is divided into several states, it will destroy the sentiment of unity among the people, we can say about it. Again, there is a question of right of self-determination. Right of self-determination, because in some areas where we can say about the people are not unified into state, the people must be given, we can say about that is the right to self-determination. Right to self-determination is very much important for particularly for particular individuals in the society, because that is a referendum should be held among them whether they want to form a state or merge adjoining states. This is most important for us to know about the doctrine of one nation and one state, because but this is a dangerous doctrine if they are not under the control of any state, because a referendum will give positive result. If they are under the control of any state or forcibly occupied, we can say about that is by the adjoining states. We can say about in that case several issues will crop up and which require international recognition. International recognition, because we must have every identity, we must have every recognition. There are different factors which are very much collectively responsible to promote nationality or elements of we can say about nationality to be discussed. If we are talking about the spirit of nationalism, or we can say about the temperament of a nation or nationality in keeping our identity upfront, because we have geographical unity. What is geographical unity? What is the definition of geographical unity? Why we need the unity of our territorial integrity in the society? Because geographical unity is the we can say about most important factor for us, because whenever it can promote our nationality, because geography is very much needed. Most of the writers on political science because have decided we can say about the decided most of writers on political science have described geographical unity as one of the powerful factors, because which promotes nationality. Most of we can say about political science have described geographical unity as one of the powerful factors of nationality. This is a part and parcel of our nationality. People have a love for their homeland, because therefore those living particularly in a particular territory or develop we can say about a love for their homeland, because we can say about and want to be united into state. This is very much important or theoretical definition of geographical unity, because there are different types of the we can say about the exceptions to this rule. Easily, there are number of we can say about the nationalistic approaches. If we are talking about the spirit of nationalism, because why we needed nationalism? Because we are being controlled by the outside influence of powers. Because the Britishers, they controlled our economy. The Britishers, they controlled our political system. The Britishers, they imposed their own economic hegemony, particularly upon the Indian subcontinent. Because the people, on the basis of their own rights, the people on the basis of their own duties, the people on the basis of their own identity and acknowledgement in the society, they had been caught into the national mainstream of history. उनके पास अपना राइट्स बहुत जरूरी था, हमको अपना पॉलिटिकल राइट्स को एस्टैब्लिश करना था, because we needed to establish political equality for the country. We needed to go for the consolidation of the political power. Easily, we needed different types of the unity to be empowered for our own survival in the society. This is, we can say about on behalf of nationalism, which had become possible for us because we struggled hard. Not only we, but also the national leaders from time immemorial, because they had their own historical background, because they had fought for justice. They had fought for justice because they had brought different types of the, or we can say about dimensions of the justice to empower the society, to empower the people in the larger interest of the society. Easily, the national leaders, they talked about particularly the complete independence for the country. The complete independence was, we can say about, it was the alternative paradigm for us, alternative path of development. It was a success way out, because to achieve our complete freedom, to achieve our true freedom, to achieve our freedom in terms of political equality, in terms of economic equality, in terms of social equality, where we can provide justice, we can strengthen our justice delivery system for our survival of the fittest in the society. Because this is, we on behalf of nation and nationality, this has become very much possible for us because we needed geographical unity, we needed racial unity, we needed common language, we needed common society, territorial integrity of the nation, because geography was very much needed, because people have a love for their homeland. Therefore, those living in a particular territory develop a love for their homeland and want to be united into state. Because, but there are exceptions to this rule. We can say about when Pakistan was created, and it was divided into West Pakistan and East Pakistan. East Pakistan on the basis of two-nation theory of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, because they were of the same religion, but we can say about culturally there were poles apart. And in 1971, East Pakistan, now known as Bangladesh, was created by war. This was very much important. Similarly, the Jews were scattered over different parts of the globe. It was very much important. But the hope that one day Palestine will be restored, because whenever to them kept alive among the spirit of nationality. This is, and this was being considered, we can say about the complete picture of our geographical unity for the nation. If we are talking about the second factor, that is racial unity. Racial unity is the most important basis of unity. If the people belonging or belong to the, we can say about the race, particular race, they tend to have a feeling that they should live together. Because but to nowadays, purity of race is, we can say about difficult to find. It is difficult to find because we can say about racial unity as the only basis of state formation. This was basis of state formation. Whenever we are talking about the state formation, because after the freedom achieved by the states under colonial rule in the first part of the 20th century, because under the migration of the people that took place to different countries, we can say there has been a intermixing of races. Because we can say about, since other factors are very strong, nationality exists there. India, China, USA, Canada, we can say about Australia, are countries we show mixed race. This is very much important for us to know about the unification of the country in terms of race. Common language also is also important for us. This is a factor in promoting our nationality. Because common language, if we are talking about the common language, so we need to talk about our common language tradition. Common language tradition, it is meant we can say about, on the other hand, we need to explain it as customary rules of the society, because culture are very important for forming national unity. It is very important in order to, we can say about, set up the platform of national unity, because language and race generally go together. If we are talking about the common language, because common language, has an important part to play in, we can say about, uniting people. This is very much formative for us. This is very much imperative for us, because common language has an important part to play in uniting people. People having common language, we can say about, have also common literature and tradition as well. Because language is, after all, a vehicle of expression. Because we need freedom of expression. Language is instrumental. It is very much instrumental in the sense that in creating literature, in creating epics, in creating prose, in creating poems, in creating novels, we can say about drama, etc. Because it helps the people in conversing each other, which is very much we can say about, this is the basis of our unity. The basis of our unity, but there are exceptions to it. India is a multilingual country. India is a multilingual country. It is a multicultural society. But in spite of that, because of great epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and we can say about the Vedas, Upanishad and scriptures, we can say about the people of India, they are united. Because India needs a common language. Why? When the Britishers came, whenever we are talking about the governor, the role played by the Britishers, because they introduced English as the lingua franca. But we can say about now Hindi has taken the place of national language also, state language also. Simultaneously, English continues to be used, so long as we can say about the non-Hindi speaking people are well versed in Hindi. Because the three language formula is the ideal formula, particularly for the foundation of our nationalism in India. Because in terms of keeping the nationalistic spirit or emotions of our national sentiment, we need to talk about common religion. Because common religion is very much important to know about the different types of the religious affinity for the country. Because religious affinity, what does it mean? How it signifies? Because if the people of the territory possess a common religion, because it is easier for them to be united into a nation. Because religion is a powerful bond of people. It is a powerful bond of the people. However, people belonging to, we can say about the heterogeneous religion can also live together, because provided other bases of nationality as are strong. India, for example, we can cite different types of example. India is a, we can say about, a country inhabited by people of different religions. Because of its geographical unity, we can say about common language and literature. Because India remains a nation and will continue to be a nation. Because if religion were the sole basis of nationality, if religion, the priority or emphasis should be given, if a religion, it should be underlined for our discussion. If religion were the sole basis of our nationality, we can say that the Middle Eastern countries could have become one country instead of, we can say about many. Because but where people of diverse religions live together, there may be, we can say about the religious conflict in terms of keeping different types of the affinity of the different types of the communities. We have different types of the common history as well. If we can say about the people have a common history, because they are likely to be unified. They are likely to be unified. In what way they are likely to be unified? Because it makes people experience common joy and common sorrow. People are inspired by the names of their national heroes. This is very much important to know about the history. It has different types of the text, and we can say about it has different types of the context. in terms of our class, in terms of our caste, in terms of our gender, in terms of our different types of the race, color, languages, to be particularly studied for our for the achievement of our complete freedom in the country. Because the people are inspired. People are inspired in such a way by the name of, we can say, about national heroes. Ashoka, Shivaji, we can say about Rana Pratap, Akbar, Rani Lakshmibai, were the national heroes because before the people, India has a history dating back to 5,000 years. Because it has, we need to talk about, we need to redefine, we can say, about the historicity of the nation. If we need to explain what is nationalism and how nationalism is working for, in terms of, we can say, about on behalf of our democracy. This is our nationalism, because we must have every spirit, we must have every identity, because we must have every recognition, or we must have every basic component of the rights to be attached with a nation, formation of a nation. This is our nation, this is our identity, this is our recognition, this is our acknowledgement, because this is the prime responsibility of particularly every nation, is to look after the people, is to empower the society, is to empower the society means because justice should be prevailed of, justice should be worked out, justice should be provided, not at the cost of the people, but in the name of the national development. The national development is a part and parcel, we can say, about of our components of our nationalism. Because nationalism का अगर हम सारे चीज बात करेंगे, because we have we can say about the different types of the or dimensions of the history. It is very much needed to explain the past history, the past shortcomings of history. Then we need to define the present predicaments of history. Then we can go for future implications of the society. This is, we can say, about there are different schools, they have debated and they have talked about nationalism. We have imperialistic school, we have nationalistic school, we have Marxist school, we have subaltern school, because they have their different types of the perceptions on the basis of their own plan of actions, on the basis of their, we can say, about their own qualitative research to know about the facts and figures of the society, because how the society would become, and it should become more sustainable in the name of, we can say, about the nationalism, in the name of, we can say, about our own national identity. This was very much needed, and this is very much important for us to know about the common history of the country. If we need to explain the spirit of nationalism, because it has been, we can say, about, it has seen many foreign invasions. At present also, we can say about its people, because have experienced, we can say, about foreign invasion. The people, particularly of India, irrespective of, we can say, about caste, irrespective of creed, irrespective of religion, irrespective of gender, they fought together to drive out the Britishers, from Indian soil. This was, we can say, about the prime responsibility of the national leaders, because to talk about or to bring about the complete independence for the country. This was our freedom. This is the concern. This was the major concern, how to achieve the complete freedom for the country, how to achieve the self-governance, how to bring about self-governance in the country, so that we need to become more independent in terms of our basic political rights, in terms of our basic social rights, in terms of their basic cultural rights, in terms of their basic, we can say, about economic rights, so that we need to become more empowered in the larger interest of the society. And this was very much important, because it was very much important in the sense that the people, irrespective of caste, irrespective of creed, and irrespective of, we can say, about religion, because fought together to drive out the Britishers, from Indian soil. This was very much important for us, because whenever we are talking about India, this has given, we can say, about the impetus. This has given the impetus. Impetus for what? Now this has given the impetus to the Indians, because to remain, we can say, about the united, to remain united, because India is a India has also suffered from the British rule. The people of India, on the basis of their own rights, they were being exploited. They were being subjugated. They were being, we can say about, relatively deprived. The relatively deprived in the sense because they are unable to achieve political equality. They were unable to achieve social equality. They were unable to achieve economic equality. So that the national leaders, they fought for justice. They demonstrated. They campaigned different types of the political as well as social movements for the country in order to kick back the Britishers. Because we can say about this was our particularly we can say about this is our common history. Common history means because we need to find out the practical difficulties of the society in terms of keeping the past history, past shortcomings of the history, so that we need to go for or redefine, we can say about the present situations of the society. So how the present situation of the society to be are to be empowered in the name of, we can say about the complete freedom, because this was the major objective of the nation. Because once Mahatma Gandhi used to say Hindus and Muslims are two, we can say about two hands, because this has given the impetus to the Indians to remain united, because India has also suffered from British rule, particularly we can say about the policy of divide and rule. Hence common history is the bond, and common history is the basis of our in achieving nationalism for the country, which creates, we can say about the nationality among the people. It is, we can say about the spirit of our nation. It is, we can say about the spirit of our nationality, and it is, we can say about the spirit of our nationalism to bring about the complete freedom for the country. Because we must have every common political aspirations if we are talking about the we can say about the basic objectives of a nationalism, basic objectives of the nationalism, because common political aspirations, is nowadays regarded most important factor of nationality, because right from, we can say about the time of Italian and German unification, because till the present day, because common aspirations have helped people live together, because as a nation. This is most important, because Ireland got independence from Britain, Bangladesh achieved its freedom from Pakistan, India became free from, we can say about British rule, and because they had common aspirations. We must have every political aspirations if we need to talk about the common political unity, because common aspirations, it should not, we can say about, be selfish or for petty things. Or for petty things means but for great things to be achieved, because we have common interest. Common interest, it is very conducive for our development of nationality, because common interest are rather we can say about aids towards strengthening, we can say about union, because they are fundamental agents of the nation. Because whenever we are talking about a customs union played a very important part in the unification of Germany. Agree? Because in 1707, you might have revert back to your history. Scotland and England were united because they had a common economic interest. They had common economic interest, because the people of Belgium and Holland, we can say about shared common economic interest as well. Because therefore they were united, but we can say about rather separated due to, we can say about the religious differences. This was the religious differences. Okay? Because we have common government and common administration. Because if the people of a territory, because if we are talking about the common government and common administration, we need to conclude that, because if the people of a territory are under governmental administration, governmental administration, well, we can talk about the governmental administration. They develop the sense of nationality. The Germans under Austrians domination felt this unity, because this is a prime example. This is a living example to know about the facts, because the races under foreign occupation feel a common type of bondage. Here we may take the case of India as well, because the Indians were under distinct, we can say about the domination economic, as well as we can say about the political dominations for about 2 centuries by the Britishers, because therefore they developed the spirit of nationality. They required their own nation because to be governed themselves, to rule themselves for the betterment of our society, for the betterment of our people, for the betterment of our national development. Because the Indians, they wanted actually to be independent and to be succeeded in the years to come. ठीक नहीं, इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं nationality is particularly based on some factors, because but all factors are not equally strong. This is our conclusion. This is our research. If we need to explain the spirit of nationalism, because nationalism is very much particularly well connected, is very much well established. The efforts which were being made by national leaders, because they fought for justice, they brought about the economic justice, they brought about the social justice, they brought about, we can say about the political justice for the country. इसलिए आज हम कह रहे हैं कि nationality is based on some factors, because all factors are not equally strong. If we can say about some important factors exist and some unimportant factors are not, because they are still nationalism can develop, because our loyalty should be towards our country. Because if this feeling develops, if this sentiments develops, if this emotions develops, because the people, we can say about, can remain united for long. इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं this is the true spirit of, we can say about, nationalism. Because as you know, if we are talking about the different schools of nationalistic approach, we need to find out the common national consciousness in India. The national, what is the meaning of national consciousness? Because national consciousness is a part and parcel of our nationalism in India, is a part and parcel of our nation and nationality, because India has been unified, as you know, under many emperors, okay? Many emperors, and we can say about the governments in history, because ancient text mention India, we can say about under emperor, that is Bharat, and Akhand Bharat, we can say about the Akhand Bharat, because these regions, you know, particularly roughly form the entities, formally, because entities, what is particularly roughly form the entities of modern day Greater India. Modern day Greater India, the Mauryan Empire, we can say about the were the first to unite, because all of India and South Asia, including much of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is included. In addition, we can say about much of India, if we are talking about the true spirit of nationalism, because India, much of India has also been unified. Much of India has also been unified under a central government by emperors, such as we can say about the Gupta Empire, Rashtrakuta Empire. If we need to revert back our history, we need to remember the facts, essential points, essential facts of history. Rashtrakuta Empire, Palla Empire, Mughal Empire, Vijayanagar Empire, and Maratha Empire, British Indian Empire, etc. Because this is, we can say about the India's concept of nationhood, because India's concept of nationhood is based not merely on territorial extent, we can say about it. It is not merely, it is based on it, we can say about it is based not merely on territorial extent of its sovereignty, because nationalistic sentiments and expressions, we can say about, if we are talking about the true emotional values of the society or sentiments of the different individuals in the society, because it will encompass that India's ancient history, because as the birthplace of the Indus Valley civilization, and we can say about Vedic civilization, and we can say about 4 major world religions. This was very much important, because we can talk about the Hinduism, we can talk about the Buddhism, we can talk about the Jainism, and we can talk about, we can say about the Maratha Empire, and we can say about the Sikhism. Because India's nationalists see, we can say about, that is India stretching along these lines. India is stretching along these lines across the Indian subcontinent. That is we can say about India today celebrates many kings and queens for combating foreign invasion. And we can say about domination, such as we can put more emphasis, or we may have on, we can say about the sheer focus Shivaji of the Maratha Empire, okay? Because Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, and different types of the examples, because to be explained, because we know about the details history of nationalism, particularly in India, because we need to talk about the colonial era nationalism. The colonial era nationalism, particularly, we need to talk about the consolidation of the British East India Company, because when the consolidation of the British East India Company rule in the Indian subcontinent during the 18th century, brought about socio-economic changes, which we can say about led to the rise of the Indian middle class. And steadily eroded, we can say about pre-colonial and socio-religious institutions and barriers. Usually there are different schools of thought. They talked about, they debated about the schools are namely, we can say about the imperialist school. Particularly, they were completely historians, because they were completely directly engaged, particularly in the Cambridge school of thought, to analyze the spirit of Indian nationalism, how the Indian nationalism is functioning, in what ways we need to empower the people, we need to empower the society, we need to empower the government and political and state institutions, if our state will become more legitimate for us. This was the analysis of our socio-economic changes for the society, because it led to the rise of the new middle class in the society, because and steadily eroded, steadily we can say about eroded the pre-colonial socio-religious institutions and barriers. This was very much important to know about the past events of history. The emerging, we can say about economic and the emerging economic and financial power of Indian business owners and merchants and the professional class brought them increasingly into conflict with the British authorities. Because a rising political, we need to talk about a rising political consciousness. Rising political consciousness, what does it mean? How it stands for? Because a rising political consciousness among the native Indian social elite. Because need to be discussed. Who are they? Including lawyers, we can say about doctors, we can say about university graduates, government officials, and similar groups spawned an Indian identity. They spawned completely, vehemently spawned the Indian identity and fed a growing nationalist sentiment in India. This was very much important in the last decades of the 19th century, we can say about last decades of the 19th century, because the national leaders, particularly we can say about different prominent leaders, political leaders, they intensified the process. They intensified or manipulated the process by providing, we can say about, an important and platform from which demands could be made for political liberalization. Increased autonomy, individual autonomy, state autonomy, and we can say about the social reform for the country. Because the leaders of the Congress at that time advocated dialogue and debate with British Raj administration. This was very much important to know about, to achieve their political goals, to achieve their complete freedom for the country, the complete freedom, complete independence for the country, because this was very much distinct from these moderate voices. Because whenever we are talking about the support of, we can say about the attributes of violence, because it was the main ground, it was the foundation of our nationalist movement, because it was subject to the participation of the people. It was subject to the political mobilization of the people. It was subject to, we can say about the national leaders. They struggled hard, relentlessly, because to bring about the political consolidation of the power in order to achieve political unity of the country. Political unity for the country, because it was very much needed and it was very much required for us to know about, we can say, about the different types of the diversity, because it was a very tough job for us to accommodate such type of diversity and to know about the past history, past events of the history, in order to redefine or define the present history, to in order to go for future implications for the society. And this was the analysis of our different schools of the thought, because the imperialist school, they debated, they talked about, because they brought different types of the dialogue, they brought different types of the deliberations and discussions, because to make the Indian nationalism more successful. Because if we are talking about, because Mahatma Gandhi also pioneered the art of satyagraha at that time, because typified with a strict adherence to ahimsa, non-violence. He talked about non-violence, civil disobedience movement, because he campaigned different types of the historical movements, because in order to bring about the complete freedom for the country, and they permitted, and this permitted, we can say, about the common interest. This permitted common individuals to engage the British, because in the revolution, without, we can say, about employing violence or other distasteful means, because Gandhi is equally, we can say, about strict adherence to democracy, because if we are talking about the religious spirit, if we are talking about the ethnic equality, if we are talking about we can say about the brotherhood, fraternity, as well as activist rejection of caste-based discrimination, and untouchability, united people, because this was very much important across these demographic lines for the first time in India's history, because the masses from different diverse perspectives, they participated very effectively. They participated very effectively, matlab, in India's independence, to bring about India's independence struggle. This was the political struggle for every leaders. Not only it was collectively responsible for, we can say, about for extremists, but also for the collectively responsible for the moderates as well. इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं कि this is our the true spirit of nationalism. How the national leaders, they showed keen interest in terms of their credentials, in terms of their emotions, in terms of their objectives, in terms of their major concerns, because to know about or to make our society, we can say, about more sustainable, because in order to achieve the consolidation of the political unity of the country. This was very much important for us to know the spirit of nationalism or national spirit. This was the basic foundation of our nationalism, because we need to organize different types of the historical movements, different types of the historical movements, in the sense that we can say about it is generally accepted, because that we can say about society was nearly very much stagnant. If we are talking about the British India, if we are talking about the British India time mein, it is generally accepted that because the society in India was nearly stagnant. It was not a mobile society at the time of British intrusion. If we people will revert back to our history, because the British were advised not to interfere with the social customs. The British were advised not to interfere with the religious beliefs of the Hindus, because the day the British interfered will be the last of its existence as a political power. We can say about it, because the Mughal ruler were also not generally interested, we can say, about in conversation as a conversation as a means of social change, conversation as a means of social change, because some sort of synthesis emerged during the medieval period also. Because if we are talking about the details history, particularly though people, they were being controlled by the Britishers at the time, because caste and class structure in rural India were rigid. It was very much rigid and stagnant at the beginning of the British rule. इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं individuals, they were being considered subordinate to the caste. the family, and the village panchayat. Economy was, we can say about very much stagnant. People lacked national consciousness. National consciousness को लाने के लिए we people struggled hard to empower society, to bring about the complete transformation of the society. This is, we can say about, to need to explain the British impact on the society. If we are talking about the true spirit of nationalism, because how the leaders, they were being controlled by the outside influence of powers, by the way the imperialist masters, they controlled or they imposed different types of the political force upon the Indian subcontinent to capture power, to establish their different types of the colonies in the country in order to grab the resources. Ultimately, what happened to the Indians? There were economic drain for the Indians. The people, they were being caught on the basis of their own economic rights, on the basis of their own social rights, on the basis of their, we can say about their political rights. इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं कि the British government, we can say about the Christian missions, and we can say about English education. ये जो तीनों चीजें were three main sources of British impact on Indian society, because the British government replaced the indigenous system of administrations and governance. Because the missions made efforts to convert, we can say about the Indians to Christianity. British educationists tried to spread education to bring about a change in the outlook of indigenous people, because the British community in India also had influence on the people in different parts of the country. Easily हम आज कह रहे हैं the port towns and coastal areas were most affected that time, and at least in the beginning of the British Raj. This is our theme of the discussion, because the emergence of the national consciousness we needed, and that was the realization of the fact that, and it felt that there was emergence of national consciousness, there was growth of national consciousness, because the realization of the value of organization and of the importance of agitation, how it led to the formation of the Indian National Congress in 1885. Because the most notable achievement of the British rule was the unification of India. This was done unconsciously by the British in the interest of the Indian people, because they were, we can say about, interested in spreading and consolidating, we can say about, their rule throughout the country. This was very much important for us, because the same argument, it can be, we can say about, made about the introduction of Western education and means of transport and communication, technology and judiciary. This was very much important for us. इसलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं कि the British impact, we need to explain the British impact on Indian society. British impact, it was very much important, particularly to know about the spirit of nationalism in India. Because then we need to talk about the Hindu Rashtra, we need to talk about the partition of India, we need to talk about the different political role of the political leaders, because हमारा सोसाइटी में बहुत सोशल इक्वालिटी था. सोशल इक्वालिटी को रेक्टिफाई करने के लिए we need to, because this was the need of the hour, how to rectify the shortcomings of history in terms of, we can say about, economic inequality, social inequality, political inequality. इसलिए हमको nationalism जरूरी था, because social inequality क्या है ना, it is, we can say about, when resources in a given society are distributed very unevenly, and it was distributed completely because unevenly, typically through norms of allocation, that we can say about endanger specific pattern along the lines of socially, we can say about, defined categories. Easily हम persons, it was the complete differentiation. If we will analyze the perceptions of the society, particularly the people, they were being controlled economically, they were being controlled politically, they were being controlled socially, they were being controlled culturally. There were, we can say about, different types of the differentiation, different types of the segmentation in the society, because the differentiation and segmentation become due to these factors. The national leaders, they fought for justice to bring about the nationalism for India. This is our nationalism. Nationalism में we must have every emotions, we must have every sentiments, we must have every political values, we must have every social values, we must have every economic values, because to know about the conditions of the society, to know about the, we can say about because to know about the complete picture of the society, because social rights हमारे पास था नहीं, political rights totally were being eroded in the name of the right to equality principles. इसलिए complete independence हमको जरूरी था, because we needed a constitution as well. We needed to establish a political constitution for us, where rule of law will be the basis of our constitutionalism, because this is, we can say about the true spirit of our nationalism in the country. Nationalism को हम लाए हैं because we need to establish the consolidation of our political power. We need to establish, we can say about the political equality for the country, whereas the people, they will be entitled to hold political office in terms of their degree of specialization, in terms of merit, in terms of expertise, in terms of, we can say about different types of the skill. This was very much important for us. इसीलिए हम आज कह रहे हैं कि this was very much important, because whenever many societies because they were being controlled from the context of, we can say about the Indian society. We need to talk about the Indian society, because the people, they were completely controlled by the outside influence of power. Because whenever we are talking about the views of nationalism, because we need to revert back, we need to explain the the perceptions of nationalists, the analysis of nationalists, we can say about the analysis of Marxist, analysis of we can say about the imperialistic power, because we need to discuss some other views which are also the crucial significance, particularly we can say about the crucial significance so far as interpretations of the national movement is concerned. It has different types of the text and context. We can say about a considerations of all these perspectives is aimed towards illustrating, we can say about the point that is that not only was nationalism a complex aim towards illustrating, we can say about phenomena, but also that history writing is an intricate exercise, because it informed by varying ideological and political practices. Because there was different types of the Cambridge School. Cambridge School was the name given to a group of historians, mostly working in the Cambridge University, because their works during the 1960s to 70s advanced a certain point of view which resembled in many ways, because some of the ideas of the colonialist historiography, and which was we can say about in opposition to the nationalist and Marxist approaches, because they opposed to the nationalist and Marxist approach of concept of nationalism. Because Indian nationalism, according to them, evolved as a result of the contradiction between Indian people and imperialism. The historians associated with the Cambridge School said that there was no contradiction between imperialism and Indian people. This was very much important to know about the facts, because while both the nationalist and Marxist historians argued that Indian nationalism evolved as a result of contradiction between Indian people and imperialism. The historians associated because with the Cambridge School asserted that there was no real contradiction because between imperialism and the Indian people, and the central contradiction lay among the Indian themselves. Because if we need to talk about or need to know about the facts, it was the English education which created a new middle class, because which clamored for political representation. It was very much necessary. The British obliged them by offering posts in various institutions, such as universities, we can say about seats in municipal council and later in provincial assemblies, because the claimants were many while posts were few, and this led to intense rivalry among the elite, particularly at regional levels, because that is where the new avenues were open, because Silks asserted that there was no conflict between the British and the Indians, because Indians and between imperialist rule and the Indian people. This was very much important to know about the perceptions of the educated elite, because on the basis of caste, on the basis of community, on the basis of religion, because he argued that much attention, the Cambridge School argued that the much attention which has been paid to the, we can say, about the apparent conflicts between imperialism and nationalism. Because if we are talking about the nationalism and imperialism, it would be at least equally profitable to study their real partnerships. Because both British rule and, we can say, about the Indian enterprise had a hand in bringing these mobilizations about, we can say, about the true spirit of nationalism in India. And this is our particularly the theme of the discussions about the different schools of nationalism, because the remaining part will be discussed respectively in order to know about the political role and social role and economic role of our nationalists in order to bring about the complete independence for the country. Thank you so much.